Howdy crew, got the TRX4 Beastie all sorted out, XXL supersizer, I got the SCX6 transmission, all metal carbon steel gears and all metal housing, 2-speed transmission, and super big beefy SCX6 drive shafts installed and worked out, all the geometry and everything. We're going to do a quick corner weighting with the chains on. I got the foams all dried out and the wheels sealed up. I got the axles all freed up. I added a little bit of alcohol to kind of balance out the sticky marine grease in there. Same with the portals. And everything's spinning smoothly. Like I said, I want to do a real quick corner weight for you guys so that we can verify the rig's total weight. I'm going to do it with the body off, then I'll weigh the body separate. It's just a little easier that way. Right now you can see, got our scale here. It's a little funky. I'm not sure why it shows 0.7 there. It's actually zeros. Reads up to 15 pounds. At any rate, I got each corner balanced out. It's kind of a rudimentary way to do corner weighting, one corner at a time. I apologize for that. It's not super perfect and accurate, but it's close. That's 8 pounds. 7 pounds, 15.7 ounces or 15 ounces. It's hard for me to tell. Sometimes it comes in and sits at 8. You can see it there. Okay, so I'm calling it about 8 pounds in that corner. Swap sides. After we're done corner weighting, I'll show you how I got everything installed. And we'll do a real quick run in high gear and low gear outside in the ice. There's 8 pounds. 10 ounces, so the total front weight without the body is 16 pounds 10 ounces. You can see the transmission is shifted to the right, which is what's causing a fair amount more weight to be over on the right hand front side. And also big fifth scale steering servo and mild steel steering servo mount, handmade, which is quite heavy. And that is also on the right-hand side of the truck. All right, let's go to the back. Bear with. Switch on blocks. Back is considerably lighter, obviously. Coming in at 6 pounds 5 ounces. Okay. And now I'll swap it into this side. Coming in about 6 pounds 2 ounces. Makes sense, a little more weight over here on the right side because I got more stuff over on the right side. But more of it's towards the front than the back. So all told, then I'm coming in at about 12 pounds 9, what was it? Yeah, it's 12 and a half pounds out back. And now let's weigh the body. It's a little bit easier if I stack it up here. Nothing up my sleeve there. Tear away those blocks. Again, it zeroes out at 0.7. I don't know why it does that. It's old. Okay, so 1 pound 13 ounces with just the fender flares, a little wood block for mounting. It's not doing much, and some side view mirrors. This is the extended cab, and it's, custom cut into a single cab by me. You've probably seen another video on that before. So we got 1 pound, 13 ounces. We got 12.5 in the back. We got 16, almost and a half out front. So that's right around almost, 31-ish, all told. 31-pound rig here. Okay, let's take a look at what's been going on. I'll pause for a sec. All right, let's get an up close on what looks like a disastrous spaghetti's nest. It's not that bad. By the way, the chains, they are big, they are beefy, they are heavy duty, and come in at, each chain comes in at right around 10 ounces all told. So you've got 40 ounces of chains around the truck. 9 passes per tire. A little quick release on either side. It's here somewhere. Why can't I see it? That's hilarious. Oh, it's right here. See, a quick release on the inside and the outside for each, so I can take them on and off really easy, quick. Yeah, 40 ounces, so that's, you know, something like 2.5 pounds of chains. So the truck could weigh 29, 28 and a half without the chains. This has got a 4S 5400 lithium ion 100C discharge or 80C discharge, and then there's a 3S 1800 that runs just the 5th scale steering servo. That's a 150 kilogram front steering servo, so about 1,800 ounce inches of torque. I can't talk tonight. Tongue twisters, I guess, with the 3S lipo dedicated. And you got big steel front steering links on there. Metal wheels. Here's your SCX6 transmission, 2-speed. You can see I've mounted it on a steel member here. This happened to come off of my lawnmower's chassis cross member, front chassis cross member, when I installed the ATV snowplow on it. That piece could no longer fit on the lawnmower. So I took it off and I was like, I'll just hold on to that. It looks like a nice piece of steel. Boom, sure enough, look at its width. Perfect, same exact width as my little street sign support system for my wood bed. Yep, that is a no parking fire sign that the HOA didn't use in the development, so I took it for my own purposes and saved it. I mounted the rock sliders to the bottom of the plate, and then I mounted these brackets to hold the transmission mounts, and you can see I had to do all this because, well, I didn't have to, but the reason I did this wonky setup is because these are the bottom transmission mounts for the SCX6 on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, depending on how you're looking at it. And you see they line up right on top of my chassis. And I kind of had to put the transmission here-ish because I'm very tight up against the chassis rail here for, for the drive shaft, front drive shaft. And so this is just how it all worked out. And this is how it makes it work. As far as the drive shafts go, I had to shorten this one. This is like a carbon steel jobby from AliExpress for the SCX6 made by Axe Speed. I think it's 157 to 210 millimeter, the long one. I had to shorten it a bit to get some telescoping in there. And then it runs on M4 carbon steel pins, which don't work because these are RYFT axles, steel axles with VITAVON guts, and it's a 6 millimeter input on the pinion here, and these are 8 millimeter bore output. And so I ended up pinning my own, that hole didn't go so well, broke a bit off. I ended up pinning my own 2.5 millimeter dowel pins that fit the 2.5 millimeter on the 6 millimeter output pin and the 2.5 millimeter hole on that output. And I did the same on the rear down here. You can see that's a 2.5 millimeter carbon steel dowel pin, and it all just lines up. I did a M8 by M6 stainless steel sleeve inside each of these to make it mate, so that takes up the extra space between the smaller pinion output and the bigger bore here. And then you can see my giant giant drive shaft extension. I had to do that again. What I did with this one is a little different than the last one. No glue here whatsoever. It's just all legit. I took the exact same drive shaft from the front, bought one for the rear. I cut it off. So here it is. And I cut it off right about, like, I don't know, maybe 10 millimeters, 15 millimeters here. And then I tapped, or I punched through it with a center hole pin drill. 5 millimeter pins. These are carbon steel, 5 millimeter. I made these actually from 5 millimeter motor shaft. I just cut them down and chamfered them a little bit on the ends, and then I just did a cross one on this side and then a 90-degree cross one on this side for a nice strong left to right hold. I don't think that's going anywhere. And then if you come down here, I took the extra portion of spline that would have been right here, the female spline. Okay, I cut that right off of there, that internal carbon steel spline from the drive shaft, and it's now up inside of this aluminum drive shaft tube, okay, and it's splined. And so the nice thing is it's splined so that I get telescoping from the male side, like proper, when it there's not much actually because I don't have a lot of angle on this setup, but it does need a telescope, so it can. And then I have it pinned again, the same 5 millimeter motor shaft, stainless steel pin system up here. So one poking through that direction, and then another at the 90-degree pointing through that direction. And then you've got all this room of spline here that catches this big male spline. So you got a lot of shaft contact. So there's no like risk of that spinning out, and plenty of room for more telescoping if anything ever changes in the setup. And then if you look at the way that I set this transmission in here, whoa, sorry, it's so darn heavy. You're going to be like, boy, oh boy, that thing looks wonky and angular. So let's just say, like, okay, these are level with the chassis, and the chassis is level, and the transmission is cocked 10 degrees downward to the forward persuasion. And the reason I did that is because when I was putting these brackets on, I realized I could do that. I had it sitting level, and I was like, well, this is pretty high up in the chassis, and I've got all kinds of room to play down here with the rear axle because it's just so long. There is very little angle coming in on these on the drive shaft U-joints. And so the front U-joint on the Converse has a massive amount of angle. You can see it in there. And so it's about almost as much angle as you could ever even get. It actually does still turn quite smoothly. But yeah, that's about it. And so by tilting the transmission forward just a little bit, it, kind of cooperates with the front angle a little. And it doesn't matter that the rear is cocked up a bit, and it still spins just fine. It's got plenty of angle to give. I've got the sound module in here. I've got the inverter in here because I don't know if you know this or not, but when you're running these standalone servos on their own 3S, or if you get a smaller one on its own 2S lipo, you can even get one on a 4S lipo now, and I don't even know what the output is. It's nuts. I only paid $35 for this servo right here, just so you know. And it's holding up great. It's running great. It puts out the juice. At any rate, when you run these, it's funny when you turn the whole system on. So this is my on right here switch. And all it does is turn on 3S power. It sends 3S directly to the servo with that switch. That switch intercepts like the hot wire to in between the battery and the servo, and then it sends 3S power directly to this inverter, which then steps down the voltage to 2S and spits out 8 volts to the receiver because the receiver can't run on 3S. Some receivers do, but not this one, CT1801. So you step it down, and so the what I found is somehow the servo has to get juice at the exact same time that the receiver does. And if you do that, then the servo will work. It will receive its signal properly. If you try to power it from the ESC, because these ESCs, these sine wave ESCs are a push button on system, you can't really like I haven't been able to figure out exactly how to intercept that, or I haven't wanted to intercept that switch. It's like a waterproof switch system, and it just seems easier for me to run it through this. So I fire up the radio, the sound maker, and the servo, and then I hit this switch and on with the ESC. I put the ESC up here. It's a Rhino 80 amp up to 8S lipo. Turn on this radio, get it stop beeping. Up to 8S lipo, and I put the heat sink pointing downwards because it's contacting this big aluminum transmission, so I thought maybe it would get some heat sinking effect from that. You got a 4250 brushless outrunner, 14 pole, high torque motor, up to 6S, 1000 watts. This is a 600 kV, and the last motor I had in here was a 350 kV, but essentially the same thing, a Turnigy 4250, Aerostar, Aero Drive. It's weird that these are both 4250s, and this motor can is actually a little bit longer than that one. I'm not sure I fully understand what's going on there, but I'm over it. This one seems to run fine. I had the super short shaft that worked in the TRX4 transmission, and that does not really work. And here you need the longer shaft, which I hadn't cut this one down, so it comes all the way to here, which made it up nicely. I did have to include an M3 washer on the outside of this transmission because the motor, the way the slide plate is made, the motor contacts the outer portion of the motor mount, and so when you tighten it down, it actually tightens against the whole plate, preventing you from sliding it after you've mounted the plate. And so it's really counterintuitive. That doesn't work. So if you put an M3 washer on each of the, an M4 washer, I'm sorry, on each of the mounting screws, and then, yeah, it was M3, sorry, this is a smaller motor, it uses M3 mounting. And then you put like a washer on the 90 degree for each. It pushes the motor back just a millimeter or two, which keeps it off of the outer plate against the inner motor plate, and then you can slide it back and forth when these screws are loose inside its mount and get it just perfectly mated, which I have. You can see the shifting is ridiculous that I had to use a 40 kilogram all metal gear shift servo, but I guess it takes some oomph to shift this thing. I wasn't exactly sure how to do linkage. It's an M3 steel Heim and a piece of super thick Lexan that came off of the F250 body, just cut to measure, and I'll show you a real quick shifting. I don't want to do it without moving because it won't shift if I don't, and it'll bind it up nasty, and I don't really have a servo saver yet, so, but you get the idea. It actually does work. I tried it once or twice, so I don't know how long that's going to hold up, but we're going to make that work for now. What else did I want to show you? Oh, real quick, I want to show you the TRX4 transmission and drive shaft that used to be in here. So hold. All right, here you go. Check this little guy out. Sorry, I can't help myself but chuckle. Look at this thing. Look at this ridiculousness. This was formerly pushing our 30-pound truck. And even though the SCX6 transmission is a lot heavier, and that's why it weighs 31 pounds now, there was literally a pound of water in each foam and each tire, so we were carrying an extra 4 pounds when you looked at the last 2 or 3 videos when this kept breaking. And you could see some damage to the gear here. Ultimately, it did never break. It still works fine. There's nothing wrong with it. My pinion gear slipped off of this motor because my flat point on the motor, it isn't very clean. I don't know if you can see. It's a bad flat point. It wasn't wide enough of a flat point, and so the M4 set screws slid right past, and then it began slipping. Other than that, this is not broken. It's a good transmission. If somebody wants it, I don't know, tell me so. And look at the long here. I mean, here's the long drive shaft, right? Let's Crazy how big the SCX6 transmission is, mod 1 gears compared to mod 0.8 gears right here. Okay, 2-speed, essentially very similar design, different, obviously way better motor mounting here. And then let's take a look at these drive shafts. Hold, please. Okay, here's your drive shaft. That's the new one. Here's the old one. Crazy, huh? So, I think there's plenty of beef in the new one to hold up just fine. Twin M5 pins holding it at the front and the back. This one was just splines all the way through, and JB weld, and some CA glue down there, and it worked. It never failed. This rear drive shaft never failed. I had problems with the front. You could see I ate a hole through the bottom of that right there when one of the pins was sticking out slightly here, and it just kind of lathed a little, sliced a little hole through the bottom of the transmission. But the transmission lasts on, still works just fine, spins smooth and good. Probably put that on the bay and sell it. Those things go for $50 on Ally. What else? Oh, I don't know. Let's show you a quick drive, I guess. May as well. It's on. I don't have the body mounted up yet. Slightly different body mounting system. You can see I got the rock sliders out on the steel plate, which is actually better. Not sure I'm going to hold on to this and just do a quick rudimentary type thing. There's low gear. It's full bore, low gear. Hold for a sec, please. Alright, do please forgive, I don't want to do the diesel sounds right now. It's so loud and it's pretty late at night. So while my neighbors aren't close, just not trying to go there and wake up my wife and my dog too, potentially. Plus also, I mean, this is like second time I've run it up. I want to hear if something goes funky or wrong in the drivetrain or in the transmission, etc. Also want to hear it shift. Matter of fact, let's do a shift for you while we've got a little space. I'm going to get going forward here to shift. And it worked. We'll go back to low. And it worked. Nice. It's complete ice outside with a fresh layer of 1 inch of snow. But I mean solid ice out here pretty much. Let me turn the light on. Hold on a sec. Okay, I'm not going to go out much with it, but... this is high gear. Pure ice. Pleased that it held up to that. Shift the low gear. I lost the chain. Hitting the wrong button. It's hitting the throttle trim. Sorry about that. That did work, shift low gear. I wonder why I lost the chain. You know what, I bet it's my quick releases did not hold up. Failed already. It's either that or it's possible I forgot to close a link when I built the chains. I'll have to go take a look. There's no way that one of those links came bent undone. If anything, it's this black, it's the black quick link. It's probably the weakest part of the chain. Anyways, successful test. Other than a bad chain. Let's shift again. Yeah, baby, yeah. Everything's working nice. Zero warmth there, although it's freezing out, so obviously there wouldn't be. Everything's working nice. All right, the next time you see a vid, the body's going to be mounted up, the chain's going to be fixed. I have to go out there and find it, and we're going to be ripping. 15 tooth mod 1 pinion, so we can go all the way up to a 25 tooth. That's what, 66% gain in speed. That was maybe 2.5, 3 miles an hour out there top speed, so we could go 4.5 miles an hour, maybe 5. I don't know. Hope you enjoyed. Here's the cheap rudimentary drill press that punched through all those carbon steel shafts. I would center it here. I would hole punch them. I used cobalt bits, and I used the center punch, center hole drill bits to get them started. I used cutting oil. That really seemed to up the game. Yes, cutting oil is different than 3-in-1 oil, come to find out. And yeah, just a cheap drill press that holds a cheap Black & Decker drill. And I've got like a little center chuck here too, but you know, I don't always use that for everything. Some things, some not. This just slides back and forth, mounts down. You can tighten it down here once you got it set where you like it. Seems to be working. That's an old Grandpa Jack. Bad boy. All right, crew. Sorry, getting off topic. ADD. Totally me. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. Only more to come with this big mofo, and we're going to see what it can handle. Yo, peace out.